Welcome back to the Morning Energy Show, where we bring you the brightest minds and boldest innovators in the solar industry. Today we're diving into a side of solar that often gets overlooked: maintenance. Joining us is Hung Nguyen, the founder and owner of Detach Reset Solar, one of the largest solar maintenance companies in the nation. Hung built an operation focused on efficiency, automation, and top-tier customer service. His team is changing the game when it comes to detaching, resetting, and maintaining solar systems, ensuring homeowners and businesses get the most out of their investment. And now, your host of the Morning Energy Show, Jay Kess.
Hello, everybody. I have Hung Nguyen on with us from Detach Reset Solar. Something very interesting about him was he's a big-time investor in real estate properties and flipped homes, but decided to jump into this industry. Hung, tell us a little bit about what your company does.
Yeah, so the name of the company is Detach Reset Solar. So most of the jobs that we do is actually removing solar panels off the roof, letting the roofers re-roof, and then we reattach the panels afterwards.
That sounds pretty simple, but I know that that is basically a new construction project. Is that right? You have to get permits and everything for it?
Oh yeah, full permits. Sometimes we have to re-engineer new drawings, everything. So one line.
Oh, no way. Why do you have to re-engineer new drawings if the roof
So
doesn't change?
yeah, so sometimes they actually make us so that way we have to actually install it backwards to exactly how it was. And because the solar company that first submitted the permit, they either one lose the original drawing or the homeowner doesn't have it. So at that point, we have to draw it to how the map looked or how the solar panels were on top of the roof already, and then we have it re-engineered to that.
That's interesting. Wouldn't the city have that on file, or the AHJ? That
You would think so. You would think so.
Not quite the case. So okay, so we're learning here today that maybe sales reps, businesses, homeowners, they should keep their CAD drawings. Is that right?
100%. Yep.
It would simplify your life.
Yep.
Oh, right on. I didn't know that. I'm already learning on this podcast. Thank you.
Yeah.
So why do solar companies prefer working with you instead of handling taking solar panels off themselves and putting them back up?
So, like you just said, right? It's basically like new construction. So, everything minus the inverter and anything like with the batteries or anything like that, we don't have to install from scratch. But basically, everything from the roof up, right? Conduit, the racking system, the panels itself, everything has to come off. And then sometimes we have to re-engineer because, like I said, the city loses their drawings and all that stuff, as well as sometimes people would just add random panels without getting them permitted.
Oh, no way. Okay.
Yeah. And then sometimes they add the additional panels and then the company goes bankrupt. Like Solstice, for example, right?
Oh,
They installed
we just said a name.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't mind.
Oh, okay.
Call them out, Hung. Do it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I figured they went out of business already.
That's a safe bet.
But like Colorado Springs, basically, they installed like all these add-ons to panels, and they didn't even let the AHJ know. They didn't reapply for the engineering or the city permitting or anything like that. So now when we took them off, the city's like, well, one, either you have to have the homeowners sign that these are no longer in compliance and we just leave them down, or two, they have to re-engineer it and then we have to basically do everything like it's a new system.
That is so wild.
Yeah.
Curious, why don't you take photos of the system before you take it off? I mean, I'm sure you've already thought about this, but that doesn't work?
No, it doesn't. It has to be installed to the original. So we even show them the Google Earth photos and all that stuff, and they're saying, no, it doesn't matter. They installed it illegally, so we have to basically redo all of it.
Well, even if it's not, like, let's say it's not illegal, they've lost their CAD, and you said you have to re-engineer things. Yep. Let's say that they didn't add solar panels on there. Would they ever force you to re-engineer it if you took a photo of it and did a CAD drawing that same way?
See, so that depends, right? So some jurisdictions, they allow us to say, hey, that company went out of business and, they don't have the original drawings. So all we have to do is just show them the photos of how it's actually installed, and then they'll let us get around that.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
I have a random question for you. I didn't prepare it on here, so hopefully you can remember it. But when these companies go out of it. I guess, what have you seen to be efficient when you're doing these detach and resets? What qualities does a company carry that you've noticed that says, okay, we're going to go do this company's house. It's going to be an easy one. Or you go do another company, like, wow, we're in for a journey.
So yeah, that's a great question, actually. So we actually worked on over 700 different types of systems. This is including different racking styles. There's so many different manufacturers for panels and everything else. Um, the ones that installed it thinking that it was going to be a forever thing, like it's going to last for like 100 years, those ones are the most difficult ones. So whenever we see those, there's like these giant lags that go from the top of the roof all the way through the rafter. And so those are meant to be permanent anchors. And yeah, those are terrible, right? So when we see that, we have to go into the attic and we have to cut them all out.
Oh, dang. So too much quality is a bad thing?
Right,
These
yeah.
installers, they don't want to show back up to the house. I tell homeowners, I'm like, look, these companies, they want to be profitable. They're going to do a really good job installing this because they may like you, but they never want to see you again after they install it, just because it costs money to do that.
Exactly.
But you're saying later on, if they need maintenance, that's a nightmare for you.
Yeah. Well,
Interesting
because
perspective.
like it's not the fact that they installed such a good job and they put it so permanent. It's the fact that sometimes they install on a roof that wasn't meant to be installed, right?
Gotcha.
Like a wood shake or a 3-tab roof or something like that. That they should have gotten their re-roof first and then installed the solar system. That would have been fine.
Yeah, I can understand that. Back in my day, when soda used to be a nickel. No, back in my day when I used to sell, I would push wood shake as a sales rep. It was my
Yeah.
job to give the installer hell and say, install this or I'm going to walk like a crying little baby. I wish I could go back in time, but I might be responsible for some of those wood shake roofs getting solar on them. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, homeowner. I'm sorry, Win. I'm sorry to the solar industry. But okay, so contractors don't like others touching their work. It can actually void that warranty, right? So does your service void their warranty and does yours take over?
Yeah.
And
So
for states like California, it's a two-part question. For states like California, how do you handle this in California with the CSLB's 10-year workmanship rule?
yeah. So 100%. So we actually do offer a 10-year leak and labor warranty. Um, Now, we are actually certified with most of the big guys. So you can hear like, I mean, can I mention the names or?
Mention them away.
All
Yeah.
right, cool. So yeah, we are actually certified with like Sunrun, Sunnova, Tesla. We were SunPower. So if you go on SunPower's website, we're actually listed as the #1 company that handles all their maintenance before they went out of business.
Oh,
Um,
that's pretty incredible.
yeah, so you can see we actually tried our hardest to actually get certified and get on board with all the solar companies. And by doing so, we actually talked to a lot of the executives. And here's the fun part: they actually sub out a lot of their work, anyways. So they actually push the warranty work onto the subcontractor that originally did the install.
I've heard about that, but I also heard that regulation changed and now they just go after the person that hired the sub.
They do come after the person, but so Sunrun um, actually would take care of it in house, anyways. So here's the thing: is they say it's in house, but it's not really, right? They
All right,
void
we're
the
learning all the
original.
secrets. Tell
Yeah.
us.
So they basically would void the warranty from the original subcontractor, and then they would just in turn take ours and replace theirs with ours, and that's how it works.
Wow. So they're okay. So liability is something that they want off of their plate, but it's
Exactly.
on yours. Thank you again.
It's on ours. Yeah. So
You're just helping everyone one house at a time.
yeah, and so that was goes back to the other one too, right? Like not only is it just a new install, like it takes just as much time and energy, but also we take a lot of liability.
So let me ask you, like the state of California, they have the CSLB. I tell homeowners, I tell sales reps, that's basically like the police officers for homeowners and contractors, right?
Right.
Um, does the original installer has a 10-year workmanship warranty that's kind of forced on them by the CSLB, and other states are similar, but I live in California, so I know it pretty well. When you do your detach and reset, does that 10-year warranty start over with you as the new contractor because you got a new permit and everything?
Correct, 100%.
Oh, okay.
When it
So
starts over, we take over pretty much all the leak and labor.
that's an awesome selling point to a homeowner. You say, look, you're 8 years into your 10-year workmanship warranty. We're going to reset that.
Yep, 100%.
Wow. Okay,
So
cool.
now it actually kind of matches what their 25-year solar warranties are. So
Oh, that's pretty
for
interesting.
manufactured stuff, right?
Yeah, right on. All right. Solar panel warranties can be voided if a cleaning solution is used. It says it right there on their warranties. I pulled them all up. I read them. Do you use any solutions when cleaning panels? Because I looked on your website that you guys clean solar panels as one of your services.
Yeah. So when we say cleaning, we actually don't use a solution. We just use the water as part of it. So you know this as a solar installer, it's very easy to scuff a roof. So while we're reinstalling, we actually use the hose, and we already asked permission from the homeowners. We actually use their hose to water down the roof to cool it down first. So we already have access to the hose, so we can just clean the panels as well. So
Really smart. In my selling days, we were always taught to respect the installers. That's you guys as well. Bring them Gatorades, food, because we didn't know how hard it was on them to do it.
yeah.
And I was thinking, you know what? We go out there and we do the hard job. We're knocking doors in the heat and we're finding clients so that they can have a job. Until I went up there on a summer day and felt the heat of that roof. Oh my goodness. And I looked at these installers like they were crazy. I'm like, why are you guys wearing long sleeve shirts and pants? Like, are you outside of your mind? And and I learned that days, and this is going to sound so simple for anyone that knows install, but you salespeople, hopefully you learn a little bit. They wear those long sleeves and the pants because of the heat of those asphalt shingles will burn them to death. Like if they put their arm on it or touch it, so they endure the heat in a major way. It's smart of you to water down that roof. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. It prevents the scuffing as well. Yeah, and it cools down the roof so we can work on it.
Oh, it stops scuffing from happening.
Yeah.
Right on. Does it is it an OSHA compliant thing? Does OSHA have a problem with that?
It's not an OSHA thing at all, actually. But yeah, watering down the roof, we've actually tested it out multiple times. Like if it's too hot, you can literally step on and of course we're doing a brand new roofs, right? Something that's just reinstalled. So you can step on it and it'll just break the shingle, or you'll slip on it and just taking off all that tar and the butyl pad. So
Wow. I didn't know that. I didn't know that was a thing with new roofs. So
yeah.
older roofs are have a bit more traction on them.
I mean, they can. So we just basically ask the roofers to stay, allow us 7 days for the roof to set. And then, since it's so hot, like the butyl pads will melt on each other, it'll set, and then it'll be okay after that. But if you
Gotcha.
work on it before then, yeah, it can be brutal.
You said it a little bit earlier. Your site lists big names like Sunrun as trusted partners. Do they actually call you to remove their systems? How frequently do they do it?
So last year we did probably 300 jobs for them or so.
So
And
they're
yes, we
calling
do.
you. You said you met the executives, but it's not sales reps calling you and then you're working on Sunrun jobs. Sunrun's actually calling you?
Yes. So sometimes we don't meet the executives. Like for Sunrun, they're so massive that we just meet like their person department, like for O&M department, basically. So
Oh, okay. And then
yeah.
they kind of make the executive decision.
Hmm.
I like those
Definitely.
guys over there, Chance Allred and Jason Dilstra. Uh,
Yeah.
I grew up selling home security with those guys.
Oh,
They
nice.
are pretty big time. Jordan Williamson and his brother Tyler. Uh, and then Mary Powell. Have you met her?
No, I haven't. I
That'd
work
be
with
really.
Janae Dawson over there.
Oh, okay.
So she's just in charge of like the onboarding of subcontractors and stuff.
What's that position called?
I don't know what the actual position is called,
Do you
but
normally work with those types of people? Not necessarily the C-suite, but you normally work with someone in the organization when you're taking
yeah,
on these big companies?
yep, exactly,
Oh, okay,
exactly.
cool. This isn't on here, but what are some of the questions that they ask you, like to make sure that you're quality and someone that they can trust to use their program?
Yeah, so same thing like you're asking right now, right? Like how do we actually ensure quality for them? So we have a 107 point checklist. Majority of them are on the detached side, just making sure that their system is actually producing, it's actually working properly, all that stuff. And then from there, when we reset it, it actually shows the same production or even better. Um, so we do that. We
Uh-huh.
also show them our quality control on the back end side and how we actually make sure that the guys are doing what we're asking them to do, and quality assurance, right? Sneak them on the guys sometimes. Just hey, you guys aren't strapped in or whatever.
Oh, you tattletale on
Yeah,
people.
100%.
Oh my
Well, on our
goodness.
own guys, right? On our own guys.
All right.
Yeah,
Well, that's
quality
going to make
assurance.
sure that the quality stays there.
Exactly. It's also an OSHA thing too, because man, we do not want to be fined by OSHA.
No, I hear that's not fun. I went into a warehouse and saw that they have several trainings in the warehouses on OSHA.
Yeah,
They even put incentives out there for the installers that can answer it properly. They record sometimes to make sure they're complying. Getting hit
yeah,
by OSHA is not a fun thing.
it's not. We got hit one time by OSHA, and yeah, that wasn't very fun.
First and last.
First and last.
Well, you did bring up an interesting topic. You brought production, like kilowatt hours produced by the system. And this kind of leads into this question. Do you handle TPO products for detach and reinstall? Walk us through what's expected from your team if you do, because I know that these installers that originally install it, they're on the hook for 5% accuracy within the amount that's on the contract. It's actually a 10% swing, but on either side, 5% overproduction on what was proposed or 5% under. How does that affect you? Is that something you have to abide by?
So sometimes, so when we're looking at it, and then this is more potent when we do a commercial job. Um, they always want performance guarantees, and for us to actually make sure that we do know what we're doing. Um,
What
the
do you mean
issue with
performance guarantees? Like on production, they want production
exactly,
guarantees. Wow.
and
Okay.
and it's scary because um, some big manufacturers they give a 25-year warranty, and they say like, oh, it's a 90%, like a 10% degrade factor over 30 years or whatever, and they've tested it out extensively in their labs and stuff. But then in real life with actual heat and all that stuff, some of them, I don't want to mention names on this one, but some of them have
You
a
did
50.
before. Where did the bravery go?
I know, I'm sorry.
Just kidding. Stay strong. Don't let the names out.
But yeah, so it's a 50% degrade factor in 10 years.
Okay.
So yeah, it's much higher than they anticipated. So
Why why is it oh, because it's a percentage each year and it's compounding, and so it ends up
yeah,
being 50? Is that what you're saying?
exactly. So
Interesting.
the panels end up producing at like 50%. So that's what deters us really from taking on these kind of projects. But
TPO
um,
project specifically?
yeah, so some like I said, the residential ones we're fine. Like nobody really
Okay.
cares about that, right? As long as it's producing and it's working and their electricity bill is down to exactly what it was, nobody has ever complained about it. But the commercial side, they actually do make you do those performance guarantees, and I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do that.
You don't want to do that?
No.
Do you have like E&O insurance, errors and omissions insurance for that type of, is there an insurance for that type of thing in case they ever do come after you, or is it in the
Um,
agreement saying you're protected against it on the resi side?
so I don't know if there is an insurance on that or not, but our general liability is pretty large at the moment. Um, I think right now we actually have a $2 million umbrella policy. So, um, so here's the other side. Like we mentioned
Tell me.
earlier, usually the main source person can actually be the one that gets sued, right? So since we are in conjunction with the roofing company most of the time, like the roofing company would have to go back to the original solar company, and then the solar company then hires us, right? Like for example, if like ABC Roofer hired Sunrun, Sunrun
Oh,
then sends it over to us, right?
Cool.
So they can actually they usually go after the person that has the most or the highest or the biggest general liability. And so they can typically sue the general contractor, which is the roofing company, typically.
No
However,
way. I
yeah,
didn't know that was a factor.
yeah,
Okay.
100%. So since we actually have a bigger general liability too, we actually protect the roofing companies as well.
Oh, so that's a good selling point.
Yeah,
You mentioned that you've done 700 of these babies, right? How long have you been in business?
700 types of systems.
Oh,
We've done over
different types of
15,000 jobs.
systems?
Yeah,
How many jobs?
over 15,000.
Yeah, that's a very different number. 15,000 jobs. My
Yeah.
goodness. How big is your operation? How many states are you in? I think I saw you were in
Um,
like 5 different ones.
yeah. So we actually just pulled out of California. Just we decided that's not very profitable.
Oh my gosh. Hung, we need you here.
I know. Oh man, we get at least 50 calls from California every day. It's insane. Um, but yeah, we pulled out of there. But we're basically in Texas, Florida, Colorado is our biggest market. We are actually getting into Illinois this year, and then so Illinois, Massachusetts, Connecticut this year, and then potentially expanding our markets for North Carolina and South Carolina.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
How many employees do you have?
Right now we're at 108.
Good for you. How long you been in business?
5 years since
And when did you
January.
see that big upswing? Was it year 1, 2?
2 years ago, actually,
2
when
years
the
ago?
solar collapse started happening.
Oh, that's when you saw the massive spike.
Yeah.
I knew I was getting on this podcast for a reason. I needed a new mission in solar. It sounds like this is the way to go. This is where the need is. Supply and demand, baby. Speaking of supply and demand, you said something interesting. California has the demand, it sounds like 50 calls a day. And you said you weren't too profitable in California. How are you not profitable if there's a demand and a need?
So, for us, since we are getting on the roof, and I don't know how other solar companies are doing it, but it's 36% workman's comp. So it's like, how are you supposed to make any money after you pay taxes and all the regulations, the rules, and the education that you have to do with California,
Yeah.
and then have to pay an additional 36% for payroll workman's comp?
Yeah, that is a big deal. So, but why not just increase the price to the homeowner if the demand is there?
See, that's the thing too. So we tried, and they want a price that's even less than what we're getting on all the other states. But you obviously know that California um, probably has more money than a lot of the states that we're in.
Yeah, they do. And they're more expensive. So it's kind of interesting to me. They're like, they want their cake and eat it too. That's kind of weird.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
But when you leave, they're going to feel that pain. It sounds like you're
Yeah.
creating your own market.
Oh man, we actually tell people all the time now. We're like, oh man, I feel so bad that we don't want to go out there and tell you that you have a sun power system that no longer works, and now we have to swap out the inverter or the to a different envoy, like an Enphase envoy or whatever, and we tell them the cost, and just like, oh man, I feel so bad. Like I don't know.
Oh, it's a bit more of a technical question, but SunPower did get their inverters from Enphase.
The later
Is
ones they did,
the later ones.
not
Yeah, that
the
started about 10 years ago, was it?
yeah, not those giant silver ones.
You're talking about the Sunny Boys.
No, those are AP system. No, what was that? SMA.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, those SMAs as well. They're still being monitored as well. But I'm talking when like they created their own like original stuff,
All
like
right.
a long, long time ago, and they had
You
their
get
own
to see the
microinverters and
evolution.
everything.
Do
Yeah.
you handle so let me ask you this. Do you take one-off business from homeowners or sales reps? Do you mainly work with large businesses?
We do both. We are about 35% direct to homeowner, and then the
That's
rest of
such a
them,
huge number.
yeah.
How do you get your marketing out to homeowners across the country? Is it referral based or what is it?
No, we spend a lot of money on Google ads and Facebook ads. Yeah, we do a lot of meme marketing. So if you follow us on Instagram, you'll see that we have a lot of meme
Meme
marketing.
marketing?
Yeah, like
Right on.
distributing funny stuff, you know?
Yeah, that's cool. You have your
Yeah.
own marketing department that does this?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. Your
Yeah.
business sounds kind of fun.
Yeah, we do stuff all the time where it was like, um, don't just have any Joe Blow working on your system, and then we like have a Joe, like we have two guys wearing white shirts that says Joe Blow, and then we'd like throw a panel off the roof. It's really funny.
If I think of memes, I'm gonna start sending them to you.
Yeah.
A penny
Send them to me.
royalty on every sale. Uh, no, that's cool. I didn't know you had a marketing team in-house.
Yeah.
So,
Everything.
but to get 35% of your business from marketing to homeowners, that is, I would say that's one of the more massive accomplishments I've probably heard on this podcast, because most of the people I've had on this podcast typically get their business from within the industry.
Yeah.
Whether it's installers, they're attractive to sales reps, and sales reps need these installers, so they call them. But you are actually going out there and collecting homeowners, which is unique. That's cool.
Correct.
35%.
Yeah. 35% of our entire business is from homeowners direct. Yeah.
And they wouldn't just call their company in case they've gone out of business. For those listening right now, just this last year, what Hung was referring to was about 50% of the solar companies nationwide went out of business. And so when a homeowner can't call their company, Hung, you're saying that's when they call you?
Correct. Exactly.
Do you have competitors? Because it seems like you kind of have market share on that thing. 35% of your business on 15,000 accounts nationwide, and the upswing happened about 2 years ago. Seems
Yep.
like you're the
Exactly.
top dog.
Well, we kind of are the top dog. Yeah. We do have competition. I mean, we created more competition in our space than pretty much anybody, really, I think. Because every single time we meet someone, they're always like, "Oh, you're the guys. You're the big guys." So, yeah.
I have heard of now that I think about it, I have heard of people that have worked with you that have broken off and tried to replicate what you do. Is that right?
Exactly. 100%.
How do you feel about training and leveling up your own competition?
That's an actually interesting question, actually. So we were actually just having an executive meeting on this a couple weeks ago. It's not about competition here, right? It's about how do we collaborate to even bring better awareness to the actual solar space.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, like if I'm training like my competitors or people that I'm affiliated with, like roofing companies, solar companies, and so on and so forth, then they're going to have the education to sell, and then they're going to give us their services, right?
Yeah.
So I don't believe in competition. I just believe in collaboration.
That is amazing. Good for you. That's a more positive approach to take. I've heard a lot of business owners, they go out there and they sue people. They put
Yeah,
things in their contract, don't do that. It's kind of cool that you have that mindset.
yeah,
And
because
your
I mean,
executive team.
yeah, because I mean, here's the cool thing, right? Like I'm gonna bring marriage into this thing. if you are married, right, and then you're always scared to train somebody or have communication with your wife because you're like, oh no, I might get divorced, right? Then you're not gonna be able to train them or give your wife full attention or full everything of yourself. And so I feel the same way about business. If I'm not giving my 100% to training someone to replicate my business, then I'm going to do them a disservice, right? So the thing is I want to make sure that I'm offering so much value that they stay with me in hopes that they stay with me. But of course,
Oh, that is an awesome mindset. But
yeah.
I do want to highlight the idea. We might make a meme about this. That we can train wives. Is that
No,
what?
not train wise, but
I'm
you
just
know what I
kidding.
mean.
My
You give your
disclaimer.
wife. That's pretty good. I knew you were going to say that too. I was like holding my tongue on certain.
You're like, oh, don't do it. You knew it was coming.
I knew
All
it.
right. Let's see. You have a strong passion for tech. I heard you implemented new technology to your platform. Tell us more about that.
Yeah. So right now, we basically are using tech for everything, right? We send 7 notifications to homeowners before we even touch their property to make sure that they understand that, hey, we are coming over there. Same thing with like internally as well, right? Like we want to make sure that our people understand how to do things. Like for example, if it's one of those old systems that got installed permanently and we can't reuse the parts,
Uh-huh.
we had to buy new racking. So instead of actually having to have someone sit there and calculate how many panels there are, what's the dimensions of the panels and all these things, they can just draw it out and then they submit it into like a chat GPT bot, and then it'll do the material takeoff for you.
Wow, that's really cool. And
Yeah.
but you have AI too, right?
Yeah.
That's
That's,
the chat GPT bot.
yeah, exactly.
You said that you send 7 different notifications to the homeowner that you're going. I've
Yep.
really learned to love this gamification. Have you ever played with that?
Yeah. I try to
Do you,
gamify a lot of things. Yeah.
you do?
I
Do
do.
you with those 7 messages, can you actually tell in your business who set the appointment or the demographics of the type of account, the ones that are more likely to cancel?
No, I don't actually do that.
No?
That's a good one
Okay.
though. No, yeah, I haven't done that.
How
um,
how frequently do homeowners reschedule or cancel with the 7 reminders? Because I get it. You don't wanna drive all the way out there and waste your time. You have
right.
opportunity costs, you have the actual employee expenses.
So we used to get in trouble a lot, and that's why we started doing it.
Get in trouble, how? What do you mean?
Yeah, so basically, right, we would go up to a house and the inverter would be inside the garage. Now we can't power down the system, right? Where the AC disconnect is, we can't power down the system.
Ah,
Yeah. Same thing like sometimes we would go to a homeowner's house and they would be in a gated community and we can't do anything about it. So we're
oh,
like,
like you couldn't even get in?
yeah, we couldn't even get in.
Huh.
And then other times they try to climb over the fence to get to the job site, and then we get in trouble by everybody, right? For
Yeah.
trespassing and everything. So, by not allowing the homeowners to know that we're there, they basically would just call the cops, or like the neighbors would call the cops on us or whatever. So we did that actually as a preventative measure for our guys to be safe, putting their
Smart
knowledge
move.
away.
It was preventative. It wasn't about cost and saving, it was to prevent getting in trouble. I mean, I
Exactly.
guess that is cost and savings, right?
Exactly. So in terms of actually cancellations on an actual thing, like we don't usually get cancellations unless it's like weather related. Like if it's snowing or something like that, then yeah, it usually cancels. But we want to stay ahead of that, so we proactively reschedule people. So
Yeah, I wouldn't imagine there would be a lot of cancels now that you say that because they're actually calling you for a service that they need, right?
exactly.
Unless they got one of your competitors that you made.
Yeah, unless they do.
What are your responsibilities during installation? And who covers costs like BOS? And if you don't mind, let me explain what BOS is in case people are listening, they don't know. That's balance of system. That's everything outside of your racking, inverters, and panels. So your conduit, your wiring, your connectors for electrical, all of that stuff is balance of system. And typically, what companies like to do is they like to put the expense of balance and system on the person doing the install because they're responsible for their loss. If they cut the conduit the wrong way, they want that loss to be on the person they hired instead of the company saying, "Hey, we cut the conduit the wrong way. We need more money because we have to go buy more." They want to mitigate that. So, yeah, back to you, Hung. My question is, what are your responsibilities during installation, and what costs are you expected to cover?
So we actually cover all new hardware. Same thing, BOS. We actually cover all of that stuff. So new hardware, new flashing, new electrical conduit, grounding, bonding, splices, all that stuff. So we'll cover all that stuff. Sometimes homeowners are just like, "Oh, can we actually get reduced price if we actually buy the materials?" And we tell them no. And again, exactly what you said, right? The installers. So if the homeowner buys it and it's too much, then it's fine. Whatever, they can handle the rest of the cost. But if they buy too little, now we're gonna have to come back. It's gonna have to be another truck roll, and it's gonna be all
Forget
these different
that.
things. And yeah, exactly. So we don't do that. We cut that out. You don't do that, right? We handle all of it.
That's interesting. Yeah, when I was selling, homeowners did ask, "Well, what if I buy my own panels? What if I do
Yeah,
the install? What if you give me all the equipment? I do the install myself."
yeah. They did
uh,
it all the time. My panels
because
broke.
I
Can
mean,
you
to
replace
buy
it?
that stuff, don't they have to be contractors anyway?
Not all the time. So you can buy panels on Amazon now. Some like no
Amazon.
name ones and stuff.
Yeah, I'm an Amazon buyer, and I have noticed the quality is questionable sometimes on
Exactly.
some things.
Like we would come to a house and we're like, Tiger, what is this? Never
I
even heard
thought
of
you
this
done
system.
700 different types.
Yeah, exactly.
I got you. Amazon's responsible for 90% of those.
Dude, sometimes they would buy something that's not even UL listed. I'm surprised anybody is even installing these kind of things. So
Ah,
directly from China and stuff, you know.
what do you mean UL listed? What is that?
So UL listed is I don't know what UL stands for, but it's a certification for United States that says that it's actually certified to be installed in the United States.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
So because you take on these warranties from homeowners and or from these other businesses, and you take on this 10-year warranty from homeowners, have you done anything to validate those warranties where homeowners feel a bit more protected because they're just dealing with a company that went out of business, right? So,
exactly. So there are certain things that we just do sometimes, even though it's not in our responsibility. We even have it in our contract that it says it's not part of our contract, our responsibility. Like inverters sometimes go out, and we would tell them that, hey, this system is not working before we even touched it, right? However, they won't believe us sometimes. So if they don't believe us, we'll just take it on and just pay for a new inverter and just install it. So I know that's kind of a backwards way to do it because businesses are like, oh shoot, you're gonna be wasting all this money and stuff. But
yeah.
um, for me, it's a little different, right? It's about impact, and I think helping the homeowner is more important.
That's the second time you've brought up something more deep than the actual business. You want to make impact, and you don't look at competitors like in the way where you're competing. You look at them as collaboration. That's really cool, Hung. It's nice
Yeah,
getting to know you on here.
thanks, man.
Would you? So I was out there selling. I keep telling those war stories, but would you let an individual sales reps sell your product while they're canvassing? And do you have a pay structure for that? So if sales reps are listening right now, you answered earlier that they can just call in and do a one-off project. Homeowner calls them and they can just say, "Hey, call Hung," right?
Yep, 100%. So we do this actually a lot actually. So as you know, solar is broken up into multiple different sections, and so we work with dealers all the time, right? If they have like 30, 40 sales reps and they're not part of the EPC, they would rather like, and they know that we're actually certified with the EPC. Sometimes they just circumvent the EPC and give it to us. Um,
Okay.
but yeah.
Do you have a pay
Most
structure for that, or is it doesn't matter because you know that there's a demand?
So yeah, we do have a pay structure for it. They do get a referral fee for doing something like that. So we typically, depending on like the size and all that stuff, of course, and how well they pay, how fast they pay, and stuff like we can give them anywhere between 5 to 10% of the revenue.
Oh wow. So to me, it sounds like, I mean, wouldn't it be advantageous for any sales rep or sales dealer to just give you their list so you can market to them, send drip
100%.
campaigns, or?
We do that sometimes. Again, for most, like for example, now we're doing it with Titan stuff. um, so
Titans
um,
list?
Titan's list, yeah.
How'd you get their list? You
Man,
can't
someone
tell
had
us.
it. Yeah, someone else had it. We're
You
just piggybacking off of them, really.
you have an in-house marketing team and you have an in-house hacker. I know it.
That's it. Yeah,
Touche,
but
Hung.
I mean, typically, like there's the data is already there anywhere, whether it's the lender, like any of the lenders out there, right? Like, for example, when Pink Energy went out of business,
In Florida.
um, yep, Sunlight Financial is the one that contacted us direct and told us, right?
Oh,
And
gotcha.
they wanted to sign us on and stuff like that. So someone always has a list.
Yeah, that's fair. How often do you end up convincing homeowners to buy new equipment instead of reinstalling what they have?
1% of the time, actually, not too often. We try
Really?
to, yeah, we try to keep them on their exact system that they got installed on.
You
The
just said
1%.
that 50% of the production is lost in 10 years.
So on some of them, yeah.
Yeah.
But so yeah, so there's a couple ways that we do this, right? So one, we can work with like warranty companies, you know, uh, it's slipping my mind. I can't remember. It's just a solar insure, some like warranty companies like that. Um, they basically have ways that can get RMA panels based off of those productions and stuff, and you can do stuff like, and I'm not gonna say the other company, but they do thermal imaging, and they give us the ability to do that with them, right? So
Ah, pretty cool.
again, using AI, right? So we take the thermal imaging, they put it in their AI, and basically tells them if it's an arc fault, if it's MC4 head or an amphenol breaking, or if cells inside of a panel is not working right or something like that.
Yeah, if there's too much degradation, those connections have been broken. I,
Exactly.
I just
Then
commented on that one because I didn't understand everything else that you said. It's clear that you know your business.
yeah.
I wanted to sound smart and contribute to the conversation though.
It's all good. But yeah, I basically wanted to show that, like, if we run the thermal imaging, they can tell us exactly what's going on, and the AI actually builds a report. Then we can submit it to the actual panel manufacturer, which then they just ship us brand new panels, and we just have to install it.
Oh, that's really cool because at Disneyland you have tourist traps. I know that homeowners are worried about businesses coming to them feeling like they're trapped. I mean, if they call you like an oil change, like the stigma with oil changes, they're going to find something. Do you ever
Yeah,
have homeowners that are weary of you doing that? I mean, it's kind of awesome. Only 1%. You just say, keep your existing stuff. You don't have to worry about us doing high pressure sales or convincing you to spend another 20 grand. It's
yeah,
kind of nice.
yeah, exactly. So there's this other company. Also, they used to work for us, and they started their own thing. And they basically didn't know why the system wasn't working. So they wanted to charge the homeowner $5,500 for a new inverter for the system to work. And I was like, let us give you a what's it called, a second opinion,
Inspection,
a second
second
opinion.
opinion.
Yeah. So I sent one of my guys out there, and he actually did we did the diagnostics for free, just as a courtesy. And turns out it was just a ground fault. The installer actually swapped the wire. So we went there, unplugged it. We thought it was going to take a while. And we're like, it's going to take a while. I don't know what's going on with it. And then like he looked over and it's like, oh, shoot, it's actually right here. He took it out and he pulled it in, reversed it, and then everything powered up. And then they were like, wow, that that just
Okay, so you
shows.
just saved them an immediate $5,500.
Yeah, exactly. So sometimes people are just like, wow, you guys actually do show that you guys are the authority in like knowing the product knowledge and stuff.
Well, I mean, the person you sent over is that a more on the technical side. It's not a sales rep you send; it's a tech,
No,
right? I
he's
would imagine. Was
he's
that?
actually a part of my C-suite. He's my chief of construction that I sent over.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
But I would imagine these collaborators that we've been talking about, the competitive collaborators, I would imagine I would imagine that they're more sending salespeople over to the house.
I don't know if they are or not. That's a good question. I don't know. I'm assuming that the installers installed it and they didn't know what they were doing. That was pretty much it. So
I'm just saying, if I was a salesman, the solution would be buy a $5,500 inverter.
hundred
It
percent,
wouldn't be me walking around the property to figure out what's wrong. You know what I mean?
hundred
Like,
percent, hundred
but
percent.
it makes me wonder who your collaborators are. I'm going to start using that word instead of competitors.
Yeah, but if we call them up, it's like, hey, you guys could have just fixed it by doing that.
So more personal questions here on these final 3 questions I have for you. But how did you finalize your decision on moving forward with a business like this? Why are you so passionate about solar systems and their maintenance? Because before you were doing real estate and flipping houses, right?
Mhm. So I was actually doing a lot of real estate, and actually was actually my business partner. He actually was door knocking for roofs. Actually, he was selling roofs, and he was like, "Solar system, never mind. Let's skip it. Solar system, skip it." Right? Because nobody knew how to do it,
That's when the
and
light bulb came on. Aha.
yeah. So then I was actually in the process. So I called his real estate agent and I was like, "Hey, are you gonna sell that house, or how much you selling that house for, et cetera, et cetera?" And then she apparently that real estate agent wasn't gonna make it. So then my buddy went out there and met me. So he gave us the tour himself, and then he's like, "What do you do? Like, how are you investing all this real estate and stuff?" And I told him, and he's like, "Oh, all I do is focus on like systems, operations, and stuff." And so he like came over and he's like, "Hey, I got this brilliant idea." And I was like, "Well, I don't know about brilliant ideas." And then he said it, and I was like, "That is a brilliant idea. Like, let's do it."
You're like, all right. Yeah, people
Yeah,
come to you with ideas all the time, probably, huh?
exactly.
It's good that
So
you listen to them, though.
right.
That's qualities of a leader for sure. And then
Yeah.
you took it and implemented it.
Yep. Exactly. And then the passion actually came after the fact that we built it. Actually, so we didn't know what we didn't know, right? We just like, oh, this is a brilliant idea. Let's just do it. Until we actually started doing it, and then people were like, "Oh, dude, all these other companies are taking. They're like 11 months out. They don't want to touch my system." And some big companies out there, if you have critter damage, so if a
Mhm.
squirrel chews your wire, they're like, "Nope, your entire system is voided. I'm not even touching it."
Are you kidding? I haven't read
No,
that in the warranties. That's
yeah,
whose warranty is that? The manufacturers or the installer?
no, the installer.
Installer
They don't
warranty.
touch it, so they
That's
don't
fair
even
because that's
uninstall
not
it.
workmanship. That's not a workmanship issue, right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
So yeah, yeah, and what's cool, what's interesting is because solar is such a green space, they decided to make the wires pretty green as well. So they made it out of soy, which
Oh,
attracts rodents.
I
So,
had no
you-
idea.
yeah, so you see all these things happening. You see like raccoons burrowing a hole through their roof and all these things. So um, basically, what happened is then people were like, "Oh man, I thank you so much for coming out." The original installer said they wouldn't touch it because of this and that or whatever. They always made an excuse because this is like literally the stinky child of solar. It's like if you're a sales rep, you're selling 25 years, no maintenance, no hassle, no everything, right?
Yeah.
And so now like we're around, they're like, "Oh shoot, maintenance. You guys serious? That's maintenance company."
I really hope salespeople start painting a better picture.
Right.
It's not 25 years of absolute freedom. There's maintenance, right?
Yeah, exactly. So when they started doing that, like homeowners started making our guys feel like they're superheroes. So then I started getting phone calls every single day, like, "I love this job so much. I feel like a superhero working here." And
No
that's when the
way.
passionate came. Yeah,
That's
that's when the
super
passion
cool.
came.
All
Yeah,
right, all right. That's awesome.
yeah,
So I also saw on your website that you install critter guards, and when I was originally looking at it and learning your company, I imagined someone in Battery Park in Manhattan be like, "Psh, "What do you want? I got panels, I got detach, I got critter guards. Like, what do you need?" But as we go in and dive in on this, it sounds like it's far more complementative to the work that you do. It's preventative maintenance, right? By putting
correct,
that critter guard up there
100%.
and cleaning the panels. We talked about cleaning the panels.
Yeah. So here's another thing for you. It's a little deep as well.
I love
Most
the deep hour by Hung. Here we go.
so most of the guys out there, and we've seen these critter guard quotes. They're ridiculous. Sometimes they charge like $2,500, $3,000 for just like a little bit of critter guard. Um, so when they see our bid, there's like, holy cow, that's like nothing, right? But that's only if it's a standalone. We decided, you don't like medication, right? So like so doctors
Some
want
people
you to
don't
get
like
sick.
medication. No.
Yeah. So doctors want you to get sick so that they can help you through
Yeah.
medication and all that stuff, right?
Uh-huh.
However, nobody ever talks about preventative stuff. Like, what about taking vitamins? What about taking a walk into the sun and developing vitamin D or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So, as part of our actual service as well, when we detach and reset, we actually offer free critter guard.
Free critter guard.
Free critter guard.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
How come I haven't seen that anywhere? It's not even, is it on your website?
it's not.
What? Oh, that's we call that a cell solidifier. They're not expecting it, and when you leave, you're like, by the way, I did this for you.
Exactly.
Awesome. That's really
Right.
cool. I'm glad
Under
that was my
promise, over
idea.
deliver.
For all those listening, that was one of the ideas that I brought to Hung. No. All right. So next question. Is there a success story that sticks out to you? I know you just talked about your people feeling like superheroes.
Yeah.
But is there a success story that sticks out to you about a time that you felt proud of your business? And what was it?
Yeah, 100%. So there's a story that sticks out all the time, and I tell it over and over again, pretty much everywhere. There's a lady, she contacted a big company, and they told her, no, I think it was 13 months out at the time. And so the lady's like, well, my house is leaking right now. What am I supposed to do? And I was like, no worries, we'll come out there in 13 months and we'll help you. We were like, well,
You have to push the top button after. Sorry, Hung.
Oh, do you want me to re-say that?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. Yeah. So anyway, there was a lady. She basically called this big company, and the big company kept saying, "Oh, it's 13 months out." And 13 months out, she's like, "Oh, this house is already leaking, though. What am I gonna do?" They still said, "Oh no, it's still 13 months out. You can't do anything about it. We don't have labor to handle that, right?" So she actually went to work. Luckily, it wasn't when she was sleeping or anything. She went to work, and the entire roof collapsed onto her actual bed.
No way.
Yeah, the whole entire roof collapsed onto her bed. And so, yeah, she obviously contacted us because we're advertising like crazy. So she's like, "Hey, I need my solar panels removed so that way we can redo our roof and rebuild it. All this house, it literally collapsed on my bed." Meaning she could have died waiting for the other company to come.
That is insane.
Right?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So of course, because we're so connected with a bunch of roofing companies too, right? We actually brought one of the roofing companies over with us, and we provided the bid and everything like that in order to rebuild the house. Took the panels off, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, you guys literally handled your business super fast."
That's an awesome success story.
Yeah.
Has she done like a video testimonial for you?
She hasn't. No.
You got to get on there. Tell your marketing team. No, I guess
know,
that's
right?
more of a feel good, like go on your website type of thing, right?
100%. I mean, there's a lot of things that we did, like, and these are things that we haven't told anybody, because like those TikTokers and stuff like that, where they're like, "I'm gonna do a good thing," and then film it,
Yep.
So yeah, like we donated 605 panels over to Sierra Leone to help them power up schools and hospitals and all that stuff and stuff like that. So like I told you before, it's more about making impact, right? So not only are we doing all these things to create impact, but we're also helping people. So that's why when they see it, and our installers actually feel it too.
And I missed that last part. And your installers what?
They feel it. So they feel the love from the company. They feel the love that they're doing to the planet. They're feeling the good that
they're feeling connected and like their work is meaningful. That's awesome.
Exactly.
I know exactly what you're talking about with these influencers. Like they go with like water and food. And then they're like posing perfectly for the camera. They've got their hair perfect. You just don't want to feel that way, huh?
Exactly. So we don't advertise all those things, but yeah, we set aside a portion of every single job in order for us to do certain cool things like that.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
So you've created a budget to do kind things for people and that are in need.
Yeah, exactly.
Very cool. How do you select your roofers? You work with a lot of roofing companies. You said, how do you select all your roofers?
I don't know about selecting them. I mean, like for people that come to us directly and needs a roof or something.
Oh, no, sorry. I was under the impression that you subbed the roof work out. You guys are actually doing the roof as well?
No. We subbed it out. Yeah.
Oh,
for
okay.
Sure.
Yeah, I was under the impression that you sub your roofers out. How do you select the roofers that you sub jobs to?
Oh, yeah. So we don't actually sub out the work. We don't do the work ourselves, but we more refer the job to them.
You
Right?
refer it to them, like back to the original, or do you have a preferred roofer that you work with?
So we actually work with uh, over 2,000 companies at the moment.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
So um, sometimes we use them as a reactivation. Sometimes a roofer hasn't sent us a job in a while, and we're like, hey, we haven't heard from them in a while. Why don't we just give them a roof? And then, get them back on our good graces sometimes. And
Oh,
that way we
okay,
can,
cool.
yeah.
Why do you want so many?
Um, we want to be the biggest company out there that does this, right? So
Oh, okay.
we're a lot of B2B. And, we're also working directly with EPCs. So, yeah, as many companies as we possibly can to get referred out to.
Hey, I have another personal question for you here about your mindset. Some people want to build businesses that are not the biggest. They just want to build businesses that make the income they want, whether that's 10 million a year, 5 million a year. But you didn't have a threshold of income that you wanted as a goal. You had a size. What makes you want to be the biggest? Like, what happened in your past that made you so competitive that you wanted to be number one?
Yeah, so I have a good friend of mine. It's funny because you said that. My good friend of mine actually said, um, dude, you feel like you're carrying something as if like you have to prove it to somebody. And I never thought about it that way. But um, yeah, to get deep here, um, I was always the neglected kid, right?
All right.
Um, my mom and dad they never paid attention to me, so I had to learn how to ride a bike myself. I jumped into the deep end and almost drowned to learn how to swim and stuff like that, right?
You jumped into the deep end.
Yeah,
Oh my. Like, well, I'm either going to learn it or die, sink or swim.
exactly. So jumped in. I was like, oh shoot, what am I supposed to do? And so I just started like pedaling. I'm like trying to go all over the place and got myself out, right?
It sounds like what you did with this business. You're like, let's jump in and give it a try.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So I wanted so coming back to it as a child, like same thing, when I was door knocking and all these things too. I door knocked and they put us into brackets and competitions and stuff all the time, gamifying. And I was actually the number one sales rep in many, many different companies.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And the funny part was like I never got promoted to be the manager or anything like that. Like, everybody gets like chance to open up their own office and stuff like that, but I never got that opportunity. Um, and even then, like tennis, right? I used to play a lot of sports like tennis, football, basketball, all these things. And my coach, I actually tested out, and I actually was supposed to be one singles in tennis. And I played the ladder, I did everything. And then I was like, dude, just give me the spot that I need or whatever. And then I'm just going to go on vacation with my parents for one day. So I skipped practice one day, and he put me as two doubles, which means he put my rank down 5 just because I went on vacation one
Oh,
time. And he never let me ladder back up. So all these things actually added up, and I'm just like, yeah, I am always trying to prove myself. So again, it's not about income, right? I mean, income is good. I love. Don't get me wrong. I love money just like everyone else does, right? Money allows us to do certain things, but the bigger thing is impact, right? And I can't make an impact unless this company becomes bigger.
that
Yeah.
is amazing. And then here you are, you've created a business where your employees feel like superheroes. You've set a budget aside to help people in need. All of the things that you didn't necessarily sound like you have growing up. You wanted people to have a fair chance.
Mm-hmm.
You became super passionate when the industry collapsed and people didn't have a solution to turn to after their company went out of business. Yeah, it aligns with a lot of the things you said in this podcast. So that's pretty cool to hear. Thank you for
Yeah,
sharing
man. Yeah. And if you actually talk to our C-suite, they're pretty much similar to him. Like our chief of construction, he wanted to impact the world, and he tried by being I don't know what that word is, where he's going out and donating his time to feed the homeless and
A philanthropist.
philanthropist. That's what it was. Yeah. So he was traveling, like trying to feed people, going to Africa, or whatever. And he's like, shoot, I can't impact anybody just doing one thing at a time like this. And so he got into solar thinking, oh, solar is the solution because I'm going to offer green products to everybody. But we quickly found out, it wasn't solar itself. Like solar itself is actually a great product, right? But what people were selling was the bad product, like the no maintenance, the et
Ah,
cetera, et cetera, right? And so when we found out that that was the case, we decided to take that on. And so when we started seeing that, now my chief of construction, he's like, man, we're making such an impact. Like, I'm so freaking happy to be at this company, right? He didn't think he was going to do any of this stuff.
now he's helping so many instead of one at a time. That's really cool.
Exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
Hung, I am super thankful that you came on here and did this with us. And genuinely, I loved the idea of getting to know you more. A lot of the things you said I resonated with, got to learn your business. If people want to get a hold of you, what's the easiest and best way to do that?
Yeah. So Instagram, Facebook, Detach Reset Solar. We watch and monitor every single message. We have an entire team that's doing that too. So um, I know you were looking at my Instagram earlier, or no, LinkedIn earlier.
LinkedIn, yep.
It
Yep.
still says real estate. So I mean, if you want to reach out to me that way, you can too.
In LinkedIn. That's how I learned that you did real estate. You wouldn't even talk about it. You're a humble man, Hung. Well, Hung, yeah, thank you again. I'm sure the audience that's listening is just going to love this like I did. I actually learned a tremendous amount of things in the solar industry that I didn't know existed. It's like a new cave opened up of possibilities of things that I could talk to homeowners about in sales, different conversations I can have with installers, financiers, even, and the understanding of CADs and design and kind of a lot of the massive responsibility that you've taken on. So thank you for
Yeah.
sharing all of that. That was an incredible podcast for me. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.